So I'm going to teach you how to make a super healthy, creamy mushroom soup that totally is like comfort food, but it's totally plant-based and nutrient dense, and it doesn't cause any inflammation. It doesn't have any of the quote-unquote bad stuff in it. So what we have right here is we have a pot with 2 quarts of vegetable broth, and you could use vegetable broth if you want to be totally vegan or plant-based. If you wanted to use bone broth or something like that, or chicken stock, you can also do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and add, this is just a basic basket of cremini mushrooms that you get at the grocery store, and that's usually about 8 ounces. This is a standard size to large carrot. And as you can see, I don't have it cut up or peeled or anything because we're going to puree this, so it can just be chopped up into chunks. So this is very simple. You can do this on a weeknight after work. Just throw it together. This is a couple ribs of celery, and I actually like to put all of the leaves in the celery too. And I don't know, I just have a thing for green leafy stuff. And this is about a medium onion. All right, and then we also have optional, a couple standard size shallots, which gives it some extra flavor, and then a couple cloves of garlic. And as you can see, I only have the garlic sliced. I don't have it chopped fine because, like I said, we are going to be pureeing this later. So I'm going to just basically let these ingredients simmer, and the stock was already almost ready to boil, so this is going to come up to boil pretty fast, and I'm going to cover it and let it simmer for a little bit. Overall, this is probably going to cook and blend together for about 30-ish minutes, but for now, I'm just going to simmer it while it's covered to get a good boil going. All right, so this has been going for about 20-25 minutes, and it's got a really good boil going now. And it smells amazing. So I'm going to leave the top off. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give the broth a tiny taste. And I'm going to explain why I'm doing that. Basically, you want to give the broth a taste because that's how you're going to tell if it's ready to puree. If the broth has absorbed the flavor of the main ingredients, which is the mushrooms, and it tastes mushroomy, for lack of a better expression, then it's pretty much ready to go, and you can go ahead and puree it. We're going to let this go maybe 10 minutes longer, and it's almost there, but not quite. So I'm teaching you that so that you can actually create these soups on your own and kind of know what to do, and you don't necessarily have to always follow a recipe. So in about 10 minutes, we're going to give this another taste, and we're going to move to the next step. All right, so this simmered for about 10 or 15 more minutes, and it smells really good. The broth tastes really good, like mushrooms. So that means it's time to put it in the blender. So I basically have a Vitamix blender pitcher right here. I'm going to turn the heat off, and I am just going to transfer this over to the blender, like that. And I'm going to add 1 cup of raw cashews. Yep, that's what's going to give it the creaminess that you would be missing from the cream, right? From the dairy cream. And I'm going to put about a 1/4 cup of fresh parsley in there. And I'm going to go ahead and blend that. When you're using a blender with hot food, you need to start the blender really slow because the heat in the blender will cause combustion. So you don't want the blender to explode and blow the top off and burn you. So be really careful when you're doing that. But I'm going to blend this right now, and then we're going to return it back to the pot. All right, I just got this off the blender, and when you use a really good Vitamix high-speed blender, you puree it really fast, and it makes it nice and smooth, and this has pureed into a really nice cream of mushroom soup puree. It's looking really good, and it's tasting really good. And then I'm going to do a little bit more flavoring. We're going to add, for a little bit extra dairy flavor, this is a vegan plant-based secret. Not really a secret, but it's a secret among plant-based people. This is nutritional yeast, and this gives it a sort of buttery, creamy flavor. It also gives it, I would say a 1/4 cup, but I always like putting a little extra just for my own taste. So I'm putting a little more than a 1/4 cup in there. And then I'm going to give it also a teaspoon of cumin because sometimes it's fun to play with a couple different seasoning enhancements. And then what I'm going to do is just not return it to the blender, but just take a wire whip and blend those flavors into there. And you may need salt and pepper depending on how your vegetable broth is seasoned. If your vegetable broth is already salted, you probably won't need to add any additional salt. I'm gonna go ahead and put a few twists of some fresh cracked pepper in there just to give it a little extra pepper flavor. And then I'm going to mix it with this a little bit more. But I'm gonna taste it now, and I'll bet you anything that this tastes just like good old cream of mushroom soup. Better than Campbell's, right? Haha. Yep, that tastes amazing. I put a little too much nutrition yeast in there for me, but you probably want to put about a quarter cup of nutrition yeast. And then when you're ready to serve, you just grab a soup bowl like this and a ladle, and you can just ladle it into a soup bowl like that. And I like to put a little bit of chopped parsley on top, and I also like to garnish it with a couple little dollops of coconut-based yogurt. And there you have a super delicious, creamy, comfort cream of mushroom soup. Totally plant-based, totally nutrient-dense, super good for you. I mean, you could basically have this on a cleanse and you'd be okay. So that's pretty awesome, right? Enjoy to your health and later days. Hope you enjoy it. Bye for now.